tossers have thrown it out the door with their behaviour this week. They should be ashamed of themselves. They should absolutely look at themselves in the mirror and wonder what the have they been doing. They were hissing at us and calling us cheats in the Lord's long room, and they have the gall to talk to us about the spirit of cricket. Absolute bullshit.
There's a big appeal, it's hit him on the pad, he's out! Lions gone, New South Wales are 9 down, onto Sydney Road, and it's hit a car! Oh, I think it's hit a car! What a way to bring up your 50!
All you want is to leave it all behind. Now there is a simple remedy to stay fit for all eternity.
Oh, hello everybody and welcome back to the Cricket Unfiltered podcast. I am Menners and I'm coming to you after day 5 from the Sydney Cricket Ground. Australia are headed towards a glorious 4-1 triumph over the Bazballers. It ain't going to look pretty on the scorebook when they get back to England. No moral 3-2 for you, England. Australia mopping them up today and taking full control of this Sydney Test match. They batted so well yesterday and then bowled excellently today. And it was Bo Webster's day at the SCG today. He started the day on 42 not out and went to 71 not out. And he also took 3 big wickets bowling his off-spinner. What a day for Bo Webster. The 4th day at the Sydney Cricket Ground will be remembered as Bo Webster Day. Of course, I have to mention Jacob Bethel, who scored his maiden first-class and Test century today. He finished today 142 not out. And I have to say, and I've said it before on this podcast, when Jacob was in Sydney, I did commentate on him when he was playing grade cricket and he was a youngster just coming up. So it's nice to see him doing well at the Sydney Cricket Ground. He's a beautiful player. And although Bo Webster is the star today, Jacob Bethel can have second place. So Australia started the day at 7 for 518 and they went through to 567. They added 49 this morning for losing 3 wickets. Steve Smith was dismissed for 138 and Bo Webster, as I said, went on to 71. Then England finished the day 8 for 302 of 75 overs. They lead Australia by 119 runs, so we will be getting a 5th day and we'll have an interesting little chase for the Aussies. I think they'll do it easy. The pitch is pretty good to bat on. England are shot. Stokes is injured. They have no spinner, so I think although in the past, if England had a great spinner on this pitch, I think, well, you never know, but I think it should be easy for Australia tomorrow, and then they'll be glorious 4-1 Ashes champions, and Baz and Stokes will be facing the axe, you would imagine. Bo Webster finished the day with 3 for 51. He took the chocolates for Australia with the ball, and he got 3 big wickets indeed. He got Harry Brook LBW, he got Will Jacks for a duck, and he got Ben Stokes for 1. Will Jacks probably played the dumbest shot of the day. Brook and Bethel had batted really well, putting on 100. They'd got the lead to 81, and there was just a chance here that England could make Australia chase an awkward total tomorrow above 200. Will Jacks comes out, second ball to Bo Webster, tries to slog him over mid-wicket, hits it straight to Cameron, well, not straight to Cameron Green, good catch for Green, moving to his left. An England fielder wouldn't have got anywhere near that. So great catch from Green, low to his left in the outfield, and Jacks was gone for a second ball duck, and that was really Test match done there because, you know, you've only got Stokes and Jamie Smith to come, and Stokes could hardly walk when he came to bat, and Jamie Smith's had an awful series. So England finished the day 119 in front. Bethel is 142 not out, so perhaps tomorrow morning we could see some action from the youngster. Just some of the details today. Webster went to his 5th Test 50 of just 64 balls today. It's his 5th Test 50 in just 8 Test matches. So what a return for him after being controversially left out this whole summer. I think Cameron Green and Bo Webster, there's a real rivalry there now for selection, or maybe you can fit both of them in with Khawaja retiring. And then Ben Stokes' groin seemed to go the fourth ball of his 28th over, and off he went. And look, I thought Stokes wouldn't make it this far. So much weight has been put on his shoulders. He's their best bowler, one of their best batters, and eventually it's just worn him down. So I think it's his right abductor's gone, and when he came out to bat, he could hardly walk. This morning, Webster and Smith went to their 100 partnership, so good stuff from him. And actually, Josh Tongue dismissed Steve Smith, and it was the fourth time in 5 test innings that Tongue has got Smith. So you have to say, Smith is Tongue's bunny. Although he made 138, he looks set for a big score, and a big score. Like, I think Smith was eyeing up 200 plus and batting with Bo Webster until tea, but it didn't happen. And then Stark was bowled by Tongue. Boland was out first ball to Jackson. That left Webster 71 not out. And it's the highest score from a number 9 in an Ashes test in over 100 years. Thank you, Joe Barton from the Daily Telegraph. So Australia all out for 567. Head was the star, 163. Smith 138. Good contributions all the way down, including Webster 71. For England, Cast 3 for 130. Matthew Potts 25 overs, none for 141. It is the third most expensive wicketless spell for an English bowler in Australia, and he was just 1 run behind a couple of other people. So it was lucky he didn't bowl today, because if he'd gone for 3 runs, he would have gone into first spot for this unwanted record. And you have to feel sorry for Potts. Brought in at the end of the tour, hardly played any cricket, and he's just looked all over the place. Josh Tongue, 30 overs, 3 for 97. He and Ben Stokes, clearly their best bowlers. Ben Stokes 2 for 95 from his 27.4 overs. Will Jacks and Jacob Bethel getting a wicket each. So Australia had a 183 run lead on the first innings, and Mitchell Stark did it again. He took a wicket in the first over of the innings, the 27th time that has happened. He dismissed Crawley out for 1. He's had a stinker of a test match. He shouldered arms to this delivery off Stark. It cut back in. He was given out, and then he referred it, and it was just hitting the top of the stump. So England were 1 for 4, and it was Stark's 29th wicket of the series. And it was the third time Mitchell Stark has dismissed Crawley in the first over of the innings this series, and the 4th time it's happened in the series for Stark. So what an amazing first over series Stark has had. 4 times he's taken a wicket. And Crawley and Duckett had added 191 runs in the series, and only one pair who opened together that many times in a series have done worse, and that was John Dyson and Graham Wood, who mustered only 186 in 10 innings. So this is the second worst opening partnership in Ashes Test history. And it's funny because when Crawley and Duckett came out to Australia, that was seen as one of the strengths of the team, and Duckett's had a shocker. Crawley's had patches where he's looked okay, but when it mattered, these two have gone missing, like the whole English team. There was a few balls sort of jumping off a length during the day, but overall the pitch played pretty well. Duckett was dropped by Green on 38 off Nisa, straight in front of Smith, who would have probably caught it. Continues a pretty tough test match for Cameron Green. And at lunch, England were 1 for 80, trailing Australia by just 103. But then after lunch, Duckett chopped one on for 42, his highest score of the series. So he'll be very disappointed he couldn't go on from there. Nisa finally got his wicket, and that Green drop ended up not mattering too much. And Duckett finishes the series 202 runs at 20 with no half century, but a great night in Noosa. So good for him. And then Root was worked over by Scotty Boland. Boland was relentless after lunch, and eventually he trapped Root out LBW for 6 off 37 deliveries. He cut back to Root and was given out. And when it was referred, it was just clipping the top of the off stump. So unlucky for Root. England 3 for 117 at this stage. Root ends the series with exactly 400 runs. He made a century here and a century at the Gabba. But apart from that, it's been pretty tough. So it's been feast or famine for Joe Root. One little interesting thing that happened today is we saw Alex Carey actually missed a ball. It was a tough one. It sort of jumped off a length and it hit the helmet. So England got a bonus 5 penalty runs. And then England with some good batting in that middle session. You know, Brooke and Bethel combined and they were stroking the ball nicely. Still pretty good batting conditions out there. Quick outfield. Australia not having a spinner really cost them today. I think if you'd had Todd Murphy or Nathan Lyon, you'd be bowling them most of the afternoon. But they didn't have one, so it was a lot easier on the English batters than it should have been. And it's a selection that Australia got horribly wrong. I mean, Webster got 3 wickets. He was extracting a lot of turn, but you can only imagine what Todd Murphy would have done on this surface. And you're right, you can only imagine because we didn't get to bloody see it, which is a real shame. So England went to tea on 3 for 174 and they trailed by 9 runs. And at this point, I'm thinking England could get a decent lead here. But then after tea, they did throw it away, losing 5 wickets. And some poor shots, as I mentioned at the top. But the highlight of the day, apart from Bo Webster's 3 wickets, was Jacob Bethel going to his maiden first class and test century all in the same innings. He was on 99 for a while and it was very nervous. I think there were 7 dot balls while he was on 95, but then he skipped down the pitch to Webster and whipped it over mid-wicket for 4. You know, he's the first specialist batter for England to make their maiden test and first class centuries in a test match. So other players have done it, like Stuart Broad, Gus Atkinson, but they weren't specialist batters. And you have to go all the way back to Ian Healy in 1993 at Old Trafford. I remember staying up late to watch his maiden first class and test century in that innings. And that's the last time it happened in an Ashes match that any player has made their maiden first class and test innings. And look, the England management have backed Jacob Bethel. They've received criticism for the lack of first-class cricket he's played. And it is tough for him to be, you know, out in the middle there in a test match trying to learn the game at this level. But I take on board what George Dobell said on his podcast that maybe if England don't do this with Bethel, they'll just lose him to the T20 circuit and he'll never be a test player. So I think maybe they have to be pretty nuanced in the way they manage Bethel because he's in such hot demand. Lovely scenes. His family was out here watching it, so you could see them embracing in the stands. So soon after Bethel got his 100, Bethel and Brooke brought up their century partnership of just 113 balls. And at this stage, anything's possible. Harry Brooke is the sort of player who can make 180 to better than run a ball. But Bo Webster broke the partnership. Brooke was at LBW for 42 off 48. He didn't play bad shot, actually. He didn't have a brain fade as we used to with this team. The ball turned back towards Brooke. He probably didn't quite give it the respect it deserves. Probably didn't expect it to turn so far, but struck him on the front and back pad, and it wasn't given out, but then they almost didn't refer it, but Smith went to Carey, and Carey said, yeah, refer it, and it was going on to hit the stump. So good referral from Carey, and continues an amazing series from him. So that was a 102-run partnership between Brooke and Bethel. Then I described the Will Jack shot, second ball, hitting it to deep mid-wicket, and so stupid. Bethel's on 100 at the other end. Knock it around a bit, Jackson. He's actually looked pretty good at times this series, Will Jack. So that was a complete brain fade. And look, a former English captain was next to me in the press box. They used to call him Feck, I believe. And he wandered past and said, I don't think this team has a brain cell between them. And you have to say, they've been in some good positions in this test series, and they've been able to throw them away at every possible opportunity. But it did make a mockery of not picking a spinner when Webster's doing that. Jamie Smith came out. He was out run out So he came out ahead of Stokes, and he was run out, terrible run out. He'd got to 26 again, looking good. Bethel played one behind square on the onside. Smith set off, and it was his call because it was just behind square. But it's one of those ones where batters can get confused because it's sort of on the margins. But there was no need for Smith to try and take a single there. Regardless of whether it was his call or not, it would have been a tight single, and he was run out, and that was really the final nail in the coffin. Ben Stokes came out, but he could hardly move, and he was out to Webster. He just couldn't move his feet, pinned to the crease, edged one to slip, and he was caught. And then late in the day, Cass was out to bowl and caught by Smith at slip. And a good captaincy from Smith towards the end of the day. A few runs were leaking with the part-timers, so Smith changed things around, brought Boland on, and he got the catch. And Smith, that was his 15th catch of the series, and that is equaling a record for the most catches in a series, in any series. So I think Jack Gregory has the record of 15 catches. Smith is equal. If he can take one catch tomorrow, he will break the record. So England 119 in front. Australia going to take a 4-1 series tomorrow. And Bazball are going home with their tail between their legs. Now, fewer sides. Today's attendance was 42,864. That's the highest day 4 crowd for an SCG test since the Bodyline series back in 1932-33. And if 10,000 people turn up, 10,069 people turn up on day 5, that'll be the highest ever attendance for a test match at the SCG. Now, I went down to the Barmy Army to say hello to Finchy, who's a great listener. He's the trumpeter from the Barmy Army. He's been a big fan of the podcast for a long, long time. So I wanted to go down to get a bit of a taste of the Barmy Army. But, I'm a bit of a cheeky bugger, so I wore my Moral Victory T-shirt when I went down there. And I have to say, it was pretty good fun. The Barmy Army, they know how to have a good time. Finchy cranks out the tunes with the trumpet. They were singing and dancing, and their team has been so awful. These people have spent their life savings to come out here, and they see their team, piss away so many good positions. So for them to be in such good spirits, I actually do admire them. Great atmosphere. There was only one bloke who wasn't happy with the Moral Victory T-shirt, wanted to discuss whether any of the English players ever said that. I didn't want to get into a debate with this guy because he was about 6'5" and built like a brick shithouse. So I just backed off and pretended I couldn't hear him, basically. But yeah, so that was my visit to the Barmy Army. And I have to say, maybe the English fans in England leave a lot to be desired, but the people that come out with the Barmy Army, they do a good job supporting their pathetic team. All right, so look. Just one thing I want to touch on before I wrap this up, that there was some news overnight, and look, I hate getting into this inside media stuff because I actually don't think for most cricket fans they really care, but Stuart Clark made some comments on the ABC about members of Cricket Australia, James Orsop, George Bailey, head of high performance. So he made a few comments about some employees. Cricket Australia felt they were overly personal. They pushed back at the ABC, and then in the end, yesterday, they didn't allow the ABC to interview Travis Head. They're not obligated to, but they always give the ABC a player. But due to Clark's comments, they decided not to do that. I believe the ABC are interviewing someone today, but I think this sets an awful precedent. And I hate to say it, but that was pathetic from Cricket Australia, because you can't be in a situation where the media feel that if they say the wrong thing, their access is going to be taken away. I mean, that is not the way it can operate if you want effective coverage of your sport. If someone says something you don't like, you can't just take away the whole network's access. Now, I believe Todd Greenberg has spoken to Stuart Clark, and this is what I don't get. Todd Greenberg said in the newspapers yesterday, I don't want to get in a war of words with Stuart Clark. And then the comms department, for some reason, didn't give Travis Head to ABC. So if you don't want to get into a war of words over this, why wouldn't you just move on? Let ABC interview Travis Head, and everyone forgets about it. So, look, I think it's been a bad day for Cricket Australia. And, speaking to a few people around the box, there's a feeling that everyone's just tired at the end of a long Ashes, but no one has covered themselves in glory. You can't just take away access or interviews because you don't like what people say or what one person said. And Stuart Clark's a highly respected member of the cricket community, former Test player. He sits on the New South Wales Cricket Board. He's entitled to have his opinions, whether you agree with them or not. So anyway, I think Cricket Australia made a mistake there, and I hope that that doesn't happen again, where someone in the media says something they don't like, and then they just go, okay, well, we're not going to talk to your organisation anymore. All right, well, that is it from the Sydney Cricket Ground. Day 4 is all over. England lead by 119 runs. They have 2 wickets in hand. It's $30 to come in tomorrow. Kids under 15 get in for free. So if you're nearby the SCG, come down and see Australia win a test match and secure the Ashes 4-1. You can also get your Jane McGrath Day pink test, your virtual seat. So go to pinktest.com.au and support all the great work they do. All right, that's me from the SCG. I'll be back tomorrow.